I mean, I have visions of us all flashing his guns. You don't think it's a good idea?
I don't think it's over good. No, it's like a knife without a blade. What do? Hit him with the handle?
I was going to send me sticking for a rubber blade to be put in it. You see, we could charge off on our clothes horses shouting, "First Beswick Lancers, charge!"
This is it. Shouting Moronijamo.
Yes,
instead of Geronimo.
Like
Moronijamo. We'll be all right with that.
Like that chappie that's just been on, I've listened to you for a long time, and you helped me when my husband died too.
Oh, well,
I think you're a belting programme.
Thank you, Doreen. All right, love.
I tried for weeks, months, to get through to you, and tonight I did it as easy as falling off a log.
Did you? Well, yeah. You don't want to fall off a log too much, love. Anyway, thank you very much.
You think that's over?
I'll do my best. Ta-da!
Ta-da, love.
The Beswick Lancers. We know Lances. It sounds all right to me. 2 compliments, one after the other. Me head, I can't get out at door. How do, Tom? No doubt you'll level it all down for us. What can we do for you?
All right, Alan.
Aye?
Right, I was just wondering, it's a bit tenuous at the moment, but I was just wondering if I could get information, which I might just be able to, but it's very doubtful, about an incident at, well, I won't name it, an incident at a certain nuclear power station on the west coast. Would you be interested?
Yes.
Well, what's the best thing for me to do?
Get the information.
Yeah, if I do that.
Once you get it, you can, if you get it illegally, by all means send it to me anonymously, or send it to me and tell me who you are, and I won't reveal who you are.
I don't think it'd be legal.
Well, I'm not to encourage you to do something that's illegal, Tom.
But you might be... Right, just say if it was legal, might you be interested?
I definitely would be interested, not from any other point than I, for one, would like the information, because I'm a nosy person.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I get it, right.
We have a news team. We have a news team here that would be well able to cope with such information, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay then. So I should be in touch. Well, just write to you at Red Rose.
Write to me at Red Rose, and mark the envelope private and confidential, I suggest.
Right.
All right.
I'll register as well. Okay. Well, if it's anything, which it probably won't be, it'll be in about the next 4 weeks.
I look forward to receiving it.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Ta-da.
Goodbye.
Preston 561,000 if you want to join us on the phone. And if you're wondering what you're listening to, you might well do. You're listening to Red Rose Radio, which is actually independent radio for Lancashire. And now it's news time.
The 11 o'clock news, this is Alan King. 900 striking miners at Frickley Colliery have decided to end their picketing at midnight. They've agreed to fall in line with their union's demand not to stir up a hornet's nest before a national ballot on industrial action. As Mark Mardell reports, picketing by the Frickley rebels over the suspension of 5 colleagues today shut down 9 South Yorkshire pits.
Flying pickets partly shut down the Yorkshire coalfield today, but they weren't popular with the bosses or their own union. British Coal says someone is trying to wreck productive pits by creating a dispute, and the Yorkshire NUM told the miners to hold on for a ballot on action and stop jumping the gun. Frickley's Steve Tully says they won't picket in the face of such opposition.
Frickley branch is isolated as we see it now. The decision has got to be made whether Frickley branch tomorrow can fight this battle alone or it decides to return to work.
But this dispute is over British Coal's disciplinary code, and unlike the pickets, the row over that won't go away overnight. Mark Mardell, IRN, Yorkshire.
The Foreign Secretary, Sir Geoffrey Howe, has called on Iran and Iraq to stop their war in the Gulf. He was speaking during a debate at the United Nations Security Council on a ceasefire resolution, which is seen as an important breakthrough because it's backed by all 5 members of the Council. The resolution has just been passed, but Iran is expected to ignore it. Sir Geoffrey told the United Nations that this could lead to firm international action.
If one or both of them choose to disregard their obligations under the Charter, then let the world hear this, and hear it clearly. This Council will use all its powers under the Charter to make the resolution effective.
The former matron of an old people's home in South London is hitting back at claims that staff held drink and sex sessions while residents were left lying in their own filth. Josephine Smith says the allegations in an official report are wildly exaggerated and patients were never neglected. Police in Liverpool are hunting a crazed motorist who launched a savage knife attack on a pedestrian who got in his way in city centre traffic. Rob McBride reports.
The attack happened in broad daylight as horrified shoppers looked on. The driver of the car lost his temper when he couldn't get past the 21-year-old man who was walking in the middle of the road. There followed a fierce row, and the driver set about his victim, slashing him across his head, face and neck, and gashing his arms as he tried to protect himself. He needed emergency surgery for severed tendons and more than 200 stitches. Rob McBride, IRN, Liverpool.
2 men who were killed when their motorised glider crashed in Oxfordshire bailed out seconds before it exploded in mid-air. The bodies of a Swiss doctor and his young pilot were found among wreckage strewn across farmland near Chipping Norton. Eyewitnesses say they heard a loud bang, then saw luggage and debris falling out of the sky. The glider was en route from Essex to Ireland. The Princess Royal is expected to take the controls of a chieftain tank tomorrow during her 2-day visit to West Berlin. Princess Anne is there in her role as honorary colonel of the 14th 20th King's Hussars Armoured Cavalry Regiment. Independent Radio News.
You might wonder what makes a Scouser wander down the middle of the road. Particularly a busy road. Well, it's obvious, isn't it? It's Radio City. It's all that flaming middle-of-the-road music they play.
Presenting, in the worst possible taste, a present for your most loathed companion. Watch them squirm with agony and cringe with anguish. Bessic's Big Blue Cassette. Cheques or postal orders for £3.99, payable to Red Rose Productions and addressed to Bessic's Big Blue Cassette, Box 301, Preston. Bessic's Big Blue Cassette. Available by post at your own peril.
Old Mother Shipton made a prediction how people would shift their rubbish one day. They said she was batty, a little bit scatty. Now everyone uses the Howard's way.
It's R&W Howard's Skip Hire for the best price in the area. Contract work our speciality. No job is too big or too small. Call R&W Howard's Skip Hire on Lancaster 67051.
Hire a skip the Howard's way.
Here's an exciting competition run in association with High-Tech Replacement Windows of Blackburn for all you girls who'll be getting married after the 12th of September. How would you like to be Red Rose's Bride of the Year? To enter, all you need to do is write us a letter enclosing a recent photograph. Tell us about yourself, how you spend your time, how you met your fiancé, and any other points of interest. We'll select the finalists for our competition from the best letters we receive. The final will be at this year's wedding fair on the 13th of September at the Duncan Helch Hotel near Accrington. Prizes include a wedding dress up to the value of £250 from Sue Child's Bridal Design of Bolton, a weekend in the Isle of Man, courtesy of Jersey European Airways, a weekend in the honeymoon suite in the Duncan Helch Hotel, and consolation prizes for all the finalists. Write today to Bride of the Year, Red Rose Radio, P.O. Box 301, St Paul's Square, Preston. We must have your letters by the 26th of August.
Ring him if you dare. Allan Beswick, the late night show.
And the telephone number is Preston 56 1000.
24 hours a day, Red Rose Radio.
How do, Sean?
Hello, Alan.
What do you want?
Why don't you like Scousers?
I don't dislike them.
Well, you're always calling them names.
No, it's very true.
Yeah, but why?
Because they like being called names.
How do you know?
I've asked them.
And they've said they like being called names.
They seem to. I mean, it's very difficult to hold a survey and somewhat expensive, but they seem to. I mean, let's think about Liverpool. They elected Derek Hatton, so they obviously like a joke. And then they've listened to this programme in their droves. So they must like it. Or are they as stupid as I say they are, and they listen to it because they don't like it?
Yeah, but there's loads of people listening. They're not all Scousers.
Indeed, but I'm talking about the ones that can listen to other things, such as Radio City. Said it again. I realise it's difficult to listen to Radio City, or radio anything, really. In Lancashire, you could listen to something else, but you choose. But I don't insult the people of Lancashire. I do insult the people of Merseyside, if that's possible. But still, they listen.
Well, I'm not saying they like being called, but, I mean...
Well, why do they listen? Why ever do they listen? Is it because they all walk down the middle of the road waiting for some frenzied motorist to cut them to bits? I mean, this is standard for Liverpool. I don't know why it made the news. Hardly important, is it? Just getting your face and arms gashed in Liverpool. You can do that on a night out.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. Another question.
Oh,
Do you
well,
like...
there are no more questions. We only do one at a time. Hello, Freddie.
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I reckon I can do your show better than you because I'm far superior.
How much far?
A lot far.
Oh.
Well, you call people plebs. You must be a pleb yourself, then you won't let me have a go.
I haven't said I won't. Whatever's give you that assumption?
Oh, well, it's just something that I thought you just normally do. You never let people have a go or anything.
Is it when you say I normally but never, which is correct?
But never.
But never?
Yeah.
So I've never let anybody have a go?
Sorry, you have let someone have a go.
So you don't mean never?
No.
I thought you were more superior to me. Far superior indeed,
Well,
and
I
yet
am
you're not
far
even
superior.
able to say what you mean.
I've got the stuff I like. I'm a DJ, you know.
You're a what?
I'm a DJ.
We'll introduce the next record. It'll be on at 12:30. Good night. How do... Kevin.
Hello?
Yes?
I'd like to talk about motor insurance.
Then go on.
I'm learning to drive and I want to know if I need me insurance to drive my parents' car while I'm learning.
Well, certainly you need to be insured whilst you're driving the motor vehicle, but it's an endorsement. By endorsement, I don't mean one of those things you get for driving naughtily. I mean an endorsement on your father's or your parents' insurance policy in order to enable you to drive with insurance.
Okay.
Okay. How do Steve?
Good evening, Alan. I bought a pram 3 weeks ago, and now my sister...
You bought a what?
Pram 3 weeks ago, yeah?
Well, if you say so.
Right, and the person's had a miscarriage. Could I get my money back for this?
You're not legally entitled to it, but the shop may be prepared to give you your money back in the circumstances, but you're not legally entitled to it.
Okay then.
Ta-da.
Cheers now. Ta-da.
It's flash, it's cool, it's wild, it's free. It's a hit, it's a Coke is it. It's heading downtown, it's Saturday night, it's hanging around, it's doing it right. It's just how you feel when you know it's for real. It's a kick, it's a kick, it's a hit, it's a hit, it's a Coke, yeah, Coca-Cola is it.
Whether you're considering a Citroen, Lada or Ford for E-Day on August the 1st, give the rest the big E for John Wilding. Right now, John Wilding is getting all excited by offering truly exceptional deals on all 3 of these makes, along with extremely low finance on selected models. You're always guaranteed John Wilding's excellent after-sales service too, and exceedingly generous part exchange allowances. So see how easy John Wilding makes buying E-Reg cars with Citroen and Lada at Banbury Garage, Westgate Morecambe, and Ford on the A6 Gar Stand.
The Red Rose Advertiser. It's a breakfast show, a morning market. It's a what's on diary and a blast from Beswick. It's the paper that's on your wavelength. The Red Rose Advertiser. And when it comes through your front door, look inside, because all that's fit to be read is in the Red Rose Advertiser.
Do you want to say a blast from Beswick? Why not Mr. Beswick? Seems perfectly honourable to me. How do James? Hello, James?
Hello?
What do you
Hello,
want?
I'd like to talk about rowing.
Rowing?
Rowing, yes. I think it's a really cool sport, really.
Cool. Well, it will be cool with all
yes,
that water
it is in the
about.
river. Yes.
Well, when you're rowing, you're not supposed to be in the river,
Yes,
but
well, you get-
rather
you
more on the river and in the boat.
You get the spray coming up onto the boat.
I see.
Yes.
Well, why not just stand in the bath with your clothes on?
No, it's a very stupid idea, Alan.
Well, I appreciate that it is a stupid idea, but it's comparable to sitting down on a lump of wood, or polystyrene,
Perhaps also...
or even fiberglass, getting water sprayed at you while you've got your clothes on.
No.
So you think it's more sensible to balance precariously on a thin sliver of
It's not precarious at
fiberglass?
all.
It's not precarious.
No.
Indeed, it never falls over.
Very rarely.
Very
Only
rarely.
goes over the weir.
So it could be precarious. And indeed, how many weirs are there on the Thames for the duration or the length of river over which the Oxford and Cambridge boat race takes place?
There are no weirs there.
None. Well, one of their boats sunk the other year.
Ah, they were crap.
Well, they may well be, but they're certainly a lot better
Durham,
known
were a
than
lot
you.
better in Durham.
In Durham?
Durham.
It's a long way to row from here.
It's very difficult also.
It's very difficult what?
To row from Durham to Preston.
Indeed it is. I made the reverse comment myself.
The reverse. Entirely.
Sorry?
Entirely.
Entirely what?
Entirely the reverse comment.
If you wish.
I wish.
Well done.
Thank you.
I suppose talking to me and saying that you wish, I ought really to cue the Walt Disney song. When you wish and talk to a star, makes no difference who you are. How do, Mike?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to know what Lamore's murders, please.
Why are you talking like a fool?
I'm not. This is my normal voice, Alan.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
it wasn't then, you lying little prat. How do, Barry?
Hello, I'd just like to say, Donna, will you please turn the radio?
We don't give messages on this programme. We're not teledate. How do, Stephen?
Hello, Alan. Let's talk about firearms.
Go on.
Is it true that when you're 17, you can apply for a shotgun licence?
I suppose you can apply for one as soon as you can write.
I mean, is it legal?
It's legal to apply.
Oh. Alright.
Whether you'll get one or not's another question. How do, Matt?
Hello. I'd like to talk about mucking out.
Oh,
There's a lot of controversy recently about whether mucking out should be done with a spade or a shovel. I myself prefer the shovel because the bevel shape helps to keep the muck on the shovel longer. What are your feelings about this, Alan?
I must say, Matt, I haven't given it a great deal of thought.
It's an important matter all the same.
It may well be to you, Matt.
Have we time for one in the wool pack, Dolly?
I thought Dolly was dead.
No, that's Pat.
Is it?
Yeah, Tom's wife.
No, I thought Dolly died in a car crash, didn't she?
No, she's still with me, is Dolly.
Is she? No wonder you're miserable. How do, Francis?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
I'd like to talk about that Scouser.
Which one?
Middle of the road.
Oh, yes.
Did you know he was on a restart job?
Go on.
Well, that was it. It was the middle of the road job, weren't it?
Oh, that is awful. It was worse than mine, and mine was pretty crap. Ta-ra.
Yep.
I'll do line one. Sure, Rod'll inform the world. Oh, it's Barbara. I'll do Barbara.
Hello. I'm passing comments about a bit you called St. Helena's, how backward they were. Anyway, what happened was, one night, me and my daughter was messing about in St. Helens. This shows how thick they are. Anyway, what happened was, it was snowing, and we were playing snowball fights. Anyway, he started throwing snowballs at me and my daughter in the house. And we ran upstairs on his bed, and he threw a bucket full of water all over his bed, double-sized bed. That shows you just how thick they were, St. Helens people, and how correct you were.
Well, yes, I'm always correct, Barbara. That was a riveting story, and we were all deeply amused by it.
We were.
I'm sure.
We weren't when we
Thank
got
you for sharing it with us.
We weren't when we were saturated.
How many O-levels have you got, Barbara?
I'm not. I've known. I've
Have
got
you not?
multiple sclerosis.
Oh, I see. Oh, and you ran upstairs and he threw water over his bed. Well, that's great. Thank you very much. Who's on line 3, Rod? You're not telling me. You've forgotten already. Andy, how do, Andy?
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
If you buy a car...
I don't have to buy a car. I get a free one off Bradshaw's.
No, if you buy a car...
Do you mean if a person buys a car?
Anyone.
Anyone. If one buys a car, go ahead.
If you buy a car...
No, we've established that I don't. I get one for free.
Like that. Does the garage have to tell you if it's been in an accident or not?
It doesn't have to tell you it's been in an accident, no.
They don't?
No.
Okay then, thank you.
If it's been written off, they may well be under an obligation to tell you, but just because it's been in an accident, no. They might not even know themselves. When you take your car to trade it in, do you say to the garage, I hit a tree with this 2 years ago, and a week after that I backed into the milk bottles, and, I mean, what's an accident?
Yes, well, that's what we thought, Alan.
So, no, they don't have to tell you it's been in an accident, but they do have to tell you, I think they have to tell you if it's been written off.
Yes.
All right? How do? Nobody.
Mr. Smith, Nissan Man, you have accepted the car challenge to sell 300 cars in 150 hours.
No problem. I'll do anything and everything that's legal, decent, honest, and truthful to help the motorist get the car he wants. New Nissans, demonstrators, and used cars. And for every car I sell, 20 pounds goes to the National Children's Home. You want a car? I'll use all my powers to guarantee the best deal.
The car challenge is now on at Mr. Smith, the Nissan Man, Moore Lane, Bolton.
From Teledisc comes the Shadow Silver Album. This exclusive double album celebrates over 25 years of continuing success, featuring the Shadows as they are today. Admire the sheer virtuosity of the theme from The Deer Hunter, Classical Gas, and Don't Cry For Me Argentina as you enjoy the sound that influenced a generation. Appreciate over 90 minutes of musical mastery and remarkable craftsmanship on 2 superb records or double play cassette. Shadow Silver Album is $8.99 including postage and packing and is not available in the shops. So to order, ring us now on 051 708 7676. That number again, 051 708 7676.
How do, Dennis?
Hello there. I'm from Somerset and I come up to Preston occasionally to see a friend and I caught your programme. And, hello?
Hello.
You're still there.
I know I am.
Caught your programme, and I thought, you know, Somerset, normally the people down there have got a reputation of being the country yokels. You know, Somerset born, Somerset bred, strong in the arm and thick in the head. But listening to your radio show, I think the people who phone in, and perhaps including myself, are the ones who are thick in the head, according to the level of their conversation.
Well, it depends on which ones to which you allude.
Well, I was listening to a few of the ones about the Liverpool situation or whatever, and then some other woman, I don't know what she was going on about, but she was talking for a good while.
Well, she could well have been beyond your understanding, don't you think?
It's possible, I suppose. And
So
what
there
about
we are.
what about the one who was going on about the rowing in?
Yes, it's called a joke. That you don't.
Yeah.
I know you don't get lots of those in Somerset, but that's what it's called.
But I know, yeah, what you were doing was a joke, but what he was putting forward about some idea of rowing from Preston to wherever he was,
Yeah,
Derby, was it?
Durham.
Durham.
It was a joke.
I
That.
see.
The whole thing was a joke.
But don't you feel that the conversation you have with your sort of radio callers is very low?
It depends what you mean by low.
Well, very low key. I mean, so I phoned in, dare I mention, Radio Bristol,
Yes.
and the conversation on the whole down there is of, I would have assumed, more an intellectual level than what
Well,
was.
you can assume away. The great difficulty, of course, is that the phone-in on Radio Bristol is listened to by 8 sheep, 12 dogs and a cat, and about 100 people. This one's listened to by 100,000 people. So on entertainment terms, one of us is getting it wrong. I'm sure it's us.
Possibly.
It could, of course, be Bristol. I don't know. We'll go round the houses of all the people that listen to Radio Bristol's phone-in and ask them. We haven't the time to go round the houses of all the people that listen to this phone-in.
No.
I've listened to Radio Bristol, and as a BBC local radio station, it's quite good.
Hmm.
Which basically means it's crap.
Well,
Because a good BBC local radio station is about as much use as a bag of sick.
well, it's handy to sort of...
Handy? It's supposed to be eerie, not handy. You don't use
Eerie?
your hands to listen to the radio, you use your ears.
Yeah, but you need your hands to pick up the phone and dial the phone in, don't you, really?
No, you can do it with your teeth if you must.
True.
And there's all sorts of things you can press the buttons with.
But if it's one of those old-fashioned ones which you have to do with your fingers, you know.
You don't. I always used a pen.
You always use a pen in your mouth.
No, in my hand.
In your hand, so it is handy.
No, it's not handy.
What is it then? Penny?
Penny? No, that's a coin, that. They probably don't have the same currency in Somerset, do they?
Well, the old pennies, they died out a few years ago in Somerset.
Did they?
Yeah.
Have you got any of the new ones yet?
Not yet, but they're soon on their way.
No. I think they're probably alive with electric.
Well,
they'll get there the same
we
time.
We've got our nuclear power stations.
Yeah, and you can keep that.
I know, we don't like them.
No.
That's what they... See, what I...
It's probably what gives the cider such a kick.
Possibly. What I suggest is they ought to put their nuclear power station where Battersea Power Station is at present, if it's so safe, instead of sticking them out in the countryside where no one really gives a damn. And it's about the people who live in Somerset or Sellafield or wherever they want to put these power stations away from the big city. If they were to make Battersea into a nuclear power station, then no doubt there would be complaints heard in Westminster. But if it's so safe for Somerset...
Well, there's complaints heard in Westminster now.
Yeah, but if it's safe enough for Somerset, then it's safe enough for Battersea, isn't it?
Well, I'm not about to argue with that.
And it's the same up here. What's the local one up here? Sellafield?
That's not a power station as such.
What is it, a nuclear dumping or reclaiming?
It's a nuclear reprocessing plant.
Yeah. But that's right, they go on about how safe it is, and they spend our taxpayers' money putting this advert out about how many people took away badges last year and how many they're going to take away next year. You know, it's just ridiculous why we should have to pay that. But there you go.
Well, I'm not going anywhere. I've got to stay till 2.
Have you?
Yeah.
Through the night? What time?
No, just till 2. You're deaf or daft.
No, but what time do you get in?
In where?
In wherever you go after 2.
It depends where I go.
Well, do you normally go home or...?
I don't think that's your business.
Perhaps it's not, but...
There's no perhaps about it.
But it's somebody's business.
Aye, it is.
But somebody who might be expecting you tonight, and they might be wondering, where's he going tonight after he finishes at 2
They might
o'clock?
well be, yeah.
So, I mean to say, that's why I'm asking, perhaps...
Well, it's very good of you. I didn't realise you were such a public-spirited individual.
Well, I am,
You're
to
still
be
not
honest.
picking finding out.
Well, I mean to say, that's your privilege, really.
It is, isn't it?
It is, yes, indeed.
Well, I'm sure you've enjoyed yourself, man.
I have. Thank you
Good.
very much.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Cheerio.
Do they always say everything twice in Somerset? How do, Mark?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to talk about YTS, please.
If you've something new to say, say it. If you haven't, get off.
I think it should be more than £28.
Get off. That's been said before. How do, David?
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Ringing about boxing. Do you think it should be banned in this country? Or
Why are you asking me?
Yeah.
Do you not have an opinion?
Yeah, I don't think it should be banned.
Why?
Because it's a good sport. And these idiots who tell about it, they're stupid.
Why are they stupid? It is clearly the case that the sport damages people unknowingly.
Well, what do you think about Thai boxing?
I'm not interested in Thai boxing or any other boxing. You've made your point. I've put an argument against it. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with boxing, is there?
It depends on what you mean by wrong.
Because-
Boxing causes harm to people unknowingly.
Well, it's one of the best sports going, and these idiots
Well,
who
would
try
you
and
like
tell
to
everybody.
comment? Would you like to comment upon the point I've made to you, or is that beyond your intelligence?
What's the point you made?
Did you not hear it the 3 times I said it?
Yeah?
And did it not register as meaning anything with you? Well, did it or didn't it?
Well, can you make the point again, clearly?
Well, let's just wonder whether it did. It clearly didn't. Are you a boxer?
Yeah, I'm a Thai boxer as well.
It makes sense. It all adds up now. Do you know how they say it makes you stupid?
Yeah?
Well, it's worked with you. How do nobody?
You have been Beswicked.
Last time I saw a brain like that, someone was wiping it with Andrex. How do Christine? No, Christine. How do Kenny?
How do you do, Alan?
What do you want?
That chap from Somerset who was just ringing in,
Oh,
he implied that us up here were intellectual pygmies.
we up here.
Well, we up here. There's my argument down the Swanee straight away.
Go on then.
We were intellectual pygmies.
No, he didn't say that. What he said
didn't
was
say it, but he
well, he
implied
didn't
it.
even imply it. What he said was that the standard of conversation on this programme is not as intellectually high, whatever that term means, as it is in BBC Radio Bristol, and he may well have a point.
Well, I'm going to prove that you aren't an intellectual pygmy.
Well, I'm not bothered.
By hang on a sec, by just presenting a little riddle to you.
I don't want a riddle.
What do you have if you've got one green ball in one hand and another green ball in the other?
A very nervous frog.
The undivided attention of a leprechaun.
Also a leprechaun. That it?
Yes, that's it, Alan.
Hop it. How do... Kenny. Oh, hang on. How do... Stephanie.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm not quite sure how to word this. Which are, or what do the third world countries consist of? We're always hearing about these third world countries. What do they consist of?
I don't know what you mean by the question, and no wonder you had difficulty wording it. I think what you mean by the question is what constitutes a third world country? How does a country get defined as third world?
Yes.
I'm not sure, but it seems to be the industrial Western world is the first world, the communist world is the second world, and the third world seems to be all the others that are dependent on the other two, if you follow me.
I was just going to say, where and when did they originate?
I don't think they did. I think it's just a journalist came up with a definition.
And number 3, where did they get their money from before we had charities collecting for them?
There's a simple answer to that, and it is that they used to export raw materials. There are many countries that are now no longer in a position to export their raw materials because no one is buying them. For example, let me think of an example now I've started it. Ethiopia has had a drought. That's caused their problem. Some of the countries of Central Africa, Nigeria, for example, has got problems because they had some oil. The bottom's fallen out of the oil market, so they can't flog theirs. Zambia is having difficulty now selling copper because copper's not used as much as it used to. Brazil risks becoming a third world country because the export of coffee has diminished, primarily because the people have bought it on the what's it called, the properties, the futures market. They speculate on the futures market, and the price of Brazilian coffee has been eroded. They've had a disastrous crop, so it's all the products that they used to sell, all the raw materials they used to sell have diminished in value, and therefore they've lost their ability to earn foreign revenue.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's all right. It's not a particularly clear explanation, but if you tune in to Phylon 4, which is a documentary programme on Radio 4 that's on at 7:20 on a Tuesday night, and then the same programme is repeated at 4:05 on a Wednesday afternoon. If you tune in a week tomorrow, not tomorrow, tune in tomorrow by all means, that's about... I don't know what that one's about, but the one next Tuesday is about a country called Togo, Togo, and that's a country in Central Africa that at the moment is having terrible trouble with debt. It's got a population of about 250,000, and it's having terrible trouble with debt, and they're doing a documentary on it next Tuesday. I know that because a friend of mine works on the programme and is currently in Togo doing the work. Okay?
Thank you
That's
very
a third world country, and no doubt the information will be in there for you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now.
Thanks, bye.
It's exactly 11:30. Oh, rats. Now it's just after 11:30.
Win £50, £20, £15 each week at the Newmarket and M2 Market, Waterloo Road, Blackpool.
How do, Irene?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
Hello. I just wondered what your views were on osteopaths. I tell you for why, Alan. I've been in bed with what my own GP thought was a trapped nerve for a week in a lot of pain. And I took it upon myself today to go and see an osteopath. And quite honestly, I've had no relief at all. And I'm wondering whether maybe anybody else is listening has had the same problem. I don't...
Right, let me stop you and say, is it a back problem?
Yes. It's in the side of my hip.
All right, I don't want to cast aspersions of any shape or size on osteopaths. I have no experience of them at all, other than second hand, if you like.
Yeah.
When I played rugby, I know of 3 rugby players that were in our team, or our club at least, each of whom had benefited from the services of an osteopath. I don't know who or where that osteopath was.
No.
What I do know something about is a thing called chiropractors. That is spelled C-H-I-R-O-P-A-C-T-O-R, chiropractor.
Yeah.
And they specialise in back problems.
Yeah.
Back tensions, back strains, injuries to the back and the like.
Yeah.
I've benefited from them. My wife has benefited from them.
Have you?
A producer at Capital Radio called Pete Simmons, who won 2 Sony Awards this year, has benefited from them because I took him. And a lot of other people have. Now, I could tomorrow decide that I am a chiropractor. Or indeed, I could decide that I am an osteopath. And I could be one, and I could start manipulating your back and your hands and everything else. If I was an osteopath, I could do your back if I was a chiropractor, and no one can stop me.
No.
It's perfectly legal.
Wow.
So it's a bit risky, because they can do a lot of harm.
Can they? Oh,
of course they can. So what you need to do, whether you're using an osteopath or a chiropractor, you need to use a qualified professional.
Well, I have got one. They are, I'm not sure what the initials are, but they are registered osteopaths.
Well, that's fine.
A doctor of osteopath.
Well, I'm not in a position, as I say, to comment about the osteopath service. I've never used it, and so I do not know. I know of people that have benefited from it, but I can't relate to that experience. They have. I know others that haven't.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if you want information about where your nearest chiropractor is, where do you live?
I live in McGill.
Your nearest chiropractor may well be in Liverpool, but if not, there's one in Manchester.
Yeah.
If you drop me a line, I will send me a fairly large stamped self-addressed envelope, about 4 by 6 inches.
Yeah.
I will send you a list of the registered chiropractors in the Northwest.
Well, thank you very,
Okay.
very much, Alan, because I'm in desperate pain.
I know the feeling well. I've been there.
Have you?
It's horrible, isn't it? And no one believes you either. That's the worst bit. He's pulling the light. He is swinging the lead.
That's right.
But
I'm just
it
in
is
so
agony.
much pain. And I really thought today she might have shifted this. But it's worse.
Well, I can't comment on that other than to say that sometimes when I've come out the chiropractor, it's felt worse.
Has it?
Because when they manipulate it, they move the vertebrae of the spine.
That's right, they
And when
did.
they move them, the muscles, of course, then decide to go into spasm, as it's called. They seize up.
Yes.
And that causes the pain. So it might be that the job is resolved and it's just waiting for your muscles to relax again. I do not know.
No.
I give you that information as
I
a
hope
sample.
you don't mind me ringing you, do you,
Not in
Alan?
the least. No, I'd be out of work if you didn't, love. So
thanks
all I can
very
say
much.
to that is if you drop me a line with that envelope, I will send you the register of chiropractors.
Because she's telling me to put ice packs on my back.
Well, I suppose that's to ease the muscular tension.
I say.
All right?
I say.
Send us that envelope. If it's not right within the next day or so, send us that envelope and we'll get this thing off to you. You can make yourself an appointment, go along and have a quick manipulation.
Right.
All
Listen,
right.
Alan, I know this. You don't like any praise. but
That's
you're-
true. So say out. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra. How do Louise? Louise is gone. How do Mandy?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
I'd like to ask you a question about medicals.
What sort of medicals?
A medical... Well, what happens is, I've been for a medical today before I go on a teacher training course.
Yes.
And the question is, why on earth do I have to have a chest x-ray? And if I fail the chest x-ray thing, I can't go to college.
Well, I suppose the answer to that is that if you have a cloudy chest, if your chest's full of garbage, and you're going to die in the next 10 years, then you're a bad investment. I mean, we all laugh about it, but there's the truth of it.
I know, it seems so funny, because, like, everyone...
It might turn out that you've got tuberculosis.
Well, I hope not.
Well, I hope not as well, but I hope not so much that if you have, I don't want you going to college with me, because I don't want it.
No, the thing is, everyone seems to be so worried about their A-level grades coming out, when the fact is, if you're not well enough to go, you can't go, and it seems so funny.
When you say not well enough, they say you certainly can go to college with various disabilities, but if you have an infectious illness, or an illness that's going to kill you in the next 10 years, then there ain't much point teaching you, is there?
Oh, I can see that.
When places at teacher training college are actually at a premium, aren't they? More people want to go than can get there.
That's true.
So if they say, well, all right, you can't go because we're letting Mandy go, and then Mandy goes there and drops dead 3 weeks later, and the guy that could have gone says, well, that's clever, isn't it, eh? They're teaching corpses now. All right. So it's probably something to do with that.
Possibly.
All right, love.
Thank you.
I hope you survived anyway.
Thank you.
Maybe it was just a doctor that liked the look of your chest. You never know. Right. You have to get used to that if you go to college. Ta-ra.
Bye.
I'll do line 8. What a flippant fellow he is. Who's on line 8? Come on. Well, we should give you a medical. I don't think you're all together there, you, Hardesty. I'll do Linda.
Hello. I've got a problem with cats. I don't know if you can help me or not.
You cannot have a problem with cats. They're wonderful.
Oh, well, they're not mine. They're somebody else's.
You can have a problem with somebody else's cat.
Yeah, well, they keep, I don't want to ask. They keep urinating at my back door, and it smells something terrible.
Yes, it does.
Well, there's no way I can keep them out at garden.
There's some stuff you can buy called, I don't know what it's called now, there's various trade names. One of the trade names is Scoot. And allegedly, if you put that on your back step, they don't like the smell of it, so they'll piddle somewhere else.
Only I've heard that you can get a young baby can get diseases off, cat's urine.
Well, they can get diseases off any excreta.
Yeah, of course they can, really, but they're a bit of a nuisance. And not only that, they keep doing things in my back garden at night. And one night I threw my husband's boots out at window and somebody pinched them. So I can't throw it out them.
It was probably a fella in the garden with no shoes on doing the noises.
They must have been desperate because they weren't much good anyway. So I can
Good on you, Mandy. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Ta-ra, it wasn't Mandy, it was Linda. I don't know how you get rid of him except put that stuff on. How do, Tommy?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'm ringing up about a bit of a query. I've had a problem with my speech, which I've thankfully got over. And what I did, I applied to the GPO for a telephone rebate in reference to the time I've been on the phone when I had my problem. And they were totally insensitive. As you can tell now, there's no problem. But they were totally insensitive and unapproachable. And I just said I'd been on the phone that long with my problem that I'd doubled up on the bill. But now I'd got it right, I was after a bit of a rebate. What do you think?
I think if I'd have received your letter, I'd have had the same response. It's not our fault. I mean, it's unfortunate and all the rest of it, but it's not British Telecom's fault that you've got a speech impediment, is it?
Yeah, but I mean, it's 3 minutes. You pay so much for 3 minutes, but I'm on for 6 minutes at a time. Well, I was.
Yes, I understand the problem. What I'm saying to you is I don't think it's their fault. They rent to you a service. If you are unable to use it as quickly as somebody else, then why the hell should they get less revenue?
Well, it's not something that they actually had any sympathy at all towards.
But it's not their job to have sympathy. If they what did they do? Just write back and say, get stuffed? Did they?
No.
No, so what did they say?
He invited me in.
They invited you in
Yeah.
to have a conversation with you?
Well, to attempt to have one with me.
Indeed.
I had a problem.
So you went in to speak to them. That's hardly an insensitive response, is it? If I phoned up or if I wrote in and said I want my bill reducing, they wouldn't invite me in.
Well, the bottom line was that they didn't get me rebate, so I mean, all that faffing about didn't get me anywhere.
So when you say they were unsympathetic, you mean you didn't get what you wanted, and that's your definition of sympathy? They were very sympathetic. They discussed it with you.
No, they were patronising.
All right, they patronised you. Well, what do you want to... Look, you've got a choice. They could look, Tommy. They could have done one of two things. They could have brought you in and gently informed you no, or they could have written back and said, get stuffed. Either way, the answer's the same. So next time, now because you've whinged on, because they treated you decently but didn't give you what you wanted, next time somebody writes in, they're going to write back and say, get stuffed, because why should they bother with all that effort? Why should they be sympathetic when ingracious little toads like you come on and say, well, they didn't give me out. Get off. Who gives a damn about your speech impediment? It's not my problem. How do, Billy?
Hi, Al.
Yes?
I'd like to talk about the intelligence of cats and dogs.
Do so.
I think dogs are more intelligent than cats.
Fine.
Well, what do you think?
Why have you bothered to ring?
Well,
You know what I think. You know what I think, don't you?
yeah.
I think dogs and cats are more intelligent than you.
You have been Beswicked.
A street, a sound is the start of the day. It's the heat of the road, it's breaking away. A kiss, a glance, it is hot, it is cool. A smile, a chance, it is breaking a rule. It's just how you feel when you know it's for real. It's a hit, it's a Coca-Cola, is it?
There goes another one in the 300 car challenge at Mr. Smith the Nissan Man, and another 20 pounds to the National Children's Home.
Celebrate Blackpool Football Club's centenary year by subscribing to Centenary Prize Time, a brand new series of weekly lotteries designed to give you more chances of winning cash prizes which increase weekly throughout the month. Subscribe to Centenary Prize Time and each month you'll receive a book of exclusive tickets for the draws. There are 4 weekly draws each month, and with subscriptions limited to only 2,000 people, there's an excellent chance of winning prizes that, as the membership increases, will be up to £8,000 per month. For your Centenary Prize Time application form brochure, call into Blackpool FC on Bloomfield Road or ring 404 331 and get on the trail to a super cash win. This lottery is promoted by G. Warburton, Blackpool FC Development Association, Bloomfield Road, Blackpool.
I've just bought a carpet for less than it cost.
How can you buy carpets for less than they cost?
Find out by going to the sale at the Carpet Supermarket on Fletcher Road off Ribbleton Lane, Preston, and the Hartley Trading Estate, Long Lane, Aintree.
Open 7 days a week.
How do? Peter.
Hello, Alan.
What do you want?
I want to ask why the miners are beyond the law.
Explain in what way you feel that they are beyond the law.
They've had secondary pickets out. No one's been arrested. A statement from the managers of the mines say that they will invoke the law if they carry on any longer.
Let me stop you a second. Shut up.
Go on.
Shut up.
Go
Here
on.
is the question. Tell me what the law says about secondary picketing.
It's illegal.
Tell me what the law actually says.
I have no idea. You're the expert.
Well, you're the one that is making various assumptions. I was hoping that you might know something about what it is you're discussing. Whose responsibility is it to bring a case against a trades union or its members for secondary picketing?
Whose responsibility
Yes.
is it to arrest people that break the
Now,
law?
hold it a moment. Hold it, please, and answer the question, because until something has happened, a court case has happened, until then, the police are not in a position to do anything about it. So tell me whose job it is to bring the case to court.
Right. If I murder someone...
No, we're not talking about murder.